This episode is brought to you by Meow Wolf. It's a great week to be a grown-up at Meow Wolf Denver. Enter the Adultiverse starting at 5 p.m. on Wednesday, November 20th to explore the multiverse, drink in hand. And don't miss Bedtime Stories, Meow Wolf's neo-burlesque variety show featuring outrageous performances guaranteed to raise smiles, eyebrows, and pulses on Thursday, November 21st. Find out more about these and other cosmically cool events at meowwolf.com. That's meowwolf.com. This episode is brought to you by Pine Melon. As Thanksgiving approaches, let Pine Melon take the stress out of your holiday planning. Pine Melon delivers high-quality meats, fresh produce, baked goods, pantry staples, and more straight to your door. No subscriptions required, just same-day delivery in a 2-hour window within Denver and Boulder. Go to pinemelon.com and place your order today. And to make your Thanksgiving even sweeter, use code CityCastDenver for $35 off your first order of $75 or more. Support local farmers and makers and save time this holiday season with Pine Melon. Today on CityCast Denver. It's no secret, this month's presidential election was a doozy. Maybe you're feeling lost or confused, or maybe you feel energized and ready to get involved in your community. Today, I'm sitting down with Tron Wills, a longtime Denver business owner and deputy outreach director with Mayor Johnston's office, to talk about how to plug in and help your neighbors right now. Today is Monday, November 18th. I'm Bree Davies, and here's what Denver's talking about. Tron Wills, welcome to CityCast Denver.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So I wanted to talk to you because I think of you as a leader in the business community, someone who's been bringing interesting art and ideas to Denver for decades. And you've really built this community around you that didn't necessarily come through politics or political organizing. I've just noticed in the last few years, you've really become somebody that I've thought of in the political sphere in terms of like getting folks together to have conversations. And I wonder how you think of yourself as a connector in the community or someone who's part of the mutual aid network of community, I guess.
I think it all kind of happened by accident and not also knowing the language then, right? I think when we started creating community and also coming from that immigrant background, as you know, in immigrant families and communities, mutual aid has kind of always been natural. Like, especially when you come to a country, you find other people that obviously speak your same language, interest, food, community. You kind of built that, right? And you built this like natural, like, hey, I need help over here and I need help over here. And you just did it without expecting anything back.
And it's not thought of as like a network or an organizing method. It's just a function of life.
It's a function. And I think that's how small communities have thrived, right? And we know that, and I grew up with that, right? My parents even not knowing the language when they came here and then relying on folks in the community to help them navigate paperwork and even directions to get to the doctors and things like that. They navigate each other. So I think that just inherently became natural for me, seeing that. And then also like growing up in America, right? I'm kind of being torn between two worlds of like, hey, I am over here learning this new world and I'm over here in this culture where I'm still trying to navigate. And how do I see the world a little differently, right? And how do you support people that also need support, right? And so that just has come inherently to me, how my life has just kind of been natural. And so when I started noticing things in Denver we didn't have, like even through the days of the Fabric Lab and the Cupcake Shop and art
And these
galleries.
were businesses you started decades ago.
I don't even know anymore. I think I've lost time, but those are things where Josh, and that's where art comes in. I think feeling like art, community, and small business kind of all interconnected for me, just naturally. And how do you bring community that has also felt neglected? Artists, people who just feel like they're not,
they don't
in the right
place,
not being heard, or just feeling like you don't belong, right? Belonging.
But you figured out how it's like community comes naturally to you because you have these vehicles to bring people together where, like you're saying, it's our local art. Or you mentioned the shop, which was this great
cupcake and cereal,
cereal bar, which sounds like more normal today. But I think when you guys opened it, people were like, what is this?
Oh,
but
people are like, what the hell are you doing?
But it quickly became a place people wanted to hang out. And so I've just noticed this evolution for you where like you started and then I remember with Leslie Herod's campaign, is that's when I actually saw you speaking about the importance of focusing local for politics. And so that's why, like, I wanted to talk to you because that shift, I think, it's very energizing for me because the art world, we tend to look at ourselves, but how do we make this into a bigger thing? And I just, right after the election, you had this Facebook post that I wanted to ask you about because it really cut through the noise for me. And I want to share a little part of that, where you said mutual aid is crucial to this journey. It's the practice of caring for one another, sharing resources, and stepping up in ways that make a tangible difference in others' lives. In times of crisis and beyond, mutual aid builds bonds that transcend politics. What did you mean?
When I wrote that, I don't know. I think about it and I cry a little bit because, you know, I'm going to cry a lot probably because I cry when I'm all those things. But I knew what this election outcome was going to be. And I wrote it like at 3 a.m. that night or that morning. I woke up with this like, not even looking at the news or looking at my phone. I just knew. Just because how the night was going. And I was just like, oh, this is real. This is going to happen again. Right?
Yeah.
And I think we look at politics in a way where it's going to save us in some way. And it's always been top down versus going up, bottom up, right? And I felt like this was the time that happened again, where people are making decisions for us, choosing the way we navigate our lives, you know, and how that politics of these elected officials are not going to save us, unfortunately. And I feel that to my core. I feel that because I see it. You know, even in my job now, I see how we can make a difference. But with that, it comes where we have to support each other in different ways now. We have to have humility. We have to show up. We have to look at and follow the lead of people already doing the work, right? And that's what I mean by that. Like beyond politics, that's the way we can only survive so that our communities can actually thrive, right? And so when we're looking at this like silo vision of like vote, but what does that mean, right? If you're not voting on a local level, that's where all those things affect you. The presidential election will obviously affect us in so many ways. I already see it happening, right? We're already seeing the effects of who's being appointed and what that will look for, like for our communities, especially for communities that have been neglected and left behind for so long. It will affect them more now. And then when we saw the first election, I think mutual aid became that word for everyone. And people radicalized, then they mobilized, and now they're ready to create this community of being supportive with each other, whether it's obviously mutual aid, like, for example, orgs that I have supported since day one, like Mutual Aid Monday. That was my first time seeing real action happen. And I was like, how can we do that and continue to do that, right?
And Mutual Aid Monday, I feel like came into Denver in the last couple of years of folks organizing around hot meals for folks who are unhoused, but also providing a space for them to just be and get people together that, again, you're a housed person. How can you help? And so this is a great, I think, entry point into what I want to talk about, which is what are some of the places or the organizations or the ways that you found to do that direct connection and that where you found yourself most helpful?
Right. I love nonprofits and they do amazing work in communities. But what I've learned with mutual aid is like direct, immediate needs. Those are what people need help with, whether that's help paying their rent, buying a grocery bill. Like I'm seeing that as more effective. And I don't want to take away from nonprofits doing work and community leaders who are doing work too. And we talk about how people can plug in, right? I see a lot of people who are like, what I've seen on, social media, or people have asked me like, well, what can I do? Right. And I'm like, find somewhere that's already doing the work. Find people who have been on the ground. They know their community. They know what to do. You know what I mean? And for you to say, hey, I want to do something on my own, which is great too. You can create smaller versions like a drive for clothing or, aftercare for an abortion kit or things like that, for sure. Hygiene kits and things like that. But where I am really pushing people is like find someone somewhere, a nonprofit that's already doing the work. And if that means like some great orgs that I love is obviously like Struggle Love, the Montbello Organization Committee, even down to like how can you mentor youth? Like it doesn't I think mutual aid and how you can help are different. There's just so many different ways that we can help. And I know a lot of people too. I think about accessibility. I think about transportation. Not everyone can drive and go and help and donate. Well, can you do a drive that's online through social media? Or is it, creating a group that you guys are doing something together where you don't have to leave your house? I think about all those things because even now hosting volunteer events and things, I think about all those things and how people want to help, but sometimes they can't. And financially, they can't either, right?
But they may have skills that
right.
they can share with someone. Or like you said, maybe like tapping into a smaller group who needs folks to drive folks to doctor's appointments. Or I think for me, one of the big eye-openers was breaking out of what I thought it meant to volunteer, which is like, oh, we go for one day and we volunteer at a clothing drive and we help collect clothes, which is cool. Or we're doing a food drive and we're doing a canned food drive. That's great. But what does it look? I think it's evolved a little bit.
Yeah, skill sets too, like legal help. We need more of that, right? Especially with our newcomers and how to navigate that world, to support them. Like you said, childcare even. Like, we were doing a lot of like these town halls and things like that. Again, accessibility. It's like, can you help watch your neighbor's kiddo while they go to this community event so they can listen to what's happening in their community, right? Or we all go together. So those are things like, how are we making it accessible for people to help, right? And that I feel has been lost. I think, again, like I said, we've been siloed for so long. People are like, I need to just take care of what I'm dealing with right now. And I think now after this election, I've seen more people like, I want to help.
Me too.
Yeah. But how can I help? And it becomes very overwhelming. Even I get overwhelmed myself when people are like, hey, can you post this, and share this? And it's like, but how? It's just so much. And also too, I realized too, after the election that what does, helping community look like? Do you even have the bandwidth? Like, can you do it? You know what I mean? I think people don't realize how much work it really is to help community. And I think people on a surface level see like, I'm going to post this and this and this, but real work begins with like actual, like you're out there doing it. It's going to be hard. It's going to take up some time. Are you willing to do that?
This episode is brought to you by Warren Village. Warren Village provides supportive housing with a preference for single-parent families experiencing housing instability. Their program model supports the growth of both parent and child, with on-site childcare for children and supportive services for parents like education, workforce skills, mental health support, parenting and financial education, and more. Celebrating 50 years this year, Warren Village will be opening their newest campus, Warren Village at Alameda, very soon. This new Warren Village campus is right by my house. I've been watching them build it. It's kind of awesome. This Southwest Denver campus will serve 89 families in the community. Warren Village serves 600 individuals across all locations, with 85% of folks identifying as BIPOC, and a majority are single mothers with one child under the age of 5. Learn how to get involved or make a donation today at warrenvillage.org. That's warrenvillage.org. This episode is brought to you by Unit E. Unit E is an award-winning underground record label based in Denver that specializes in showcasing the best music the Mile High City has to offer. By joining the Unit E 7-inch record club, you will be in the know about Denver's hottest artists, like Los Mocochetes, the band you hear at the opening of this very podcast every episode. The Mocochetes are just one of many acts you'll get new music from when you subscribe. So how does the Unit E 7-inch record club work anyway? Well, it's simple. Sign up now, and for just $39 a year, you get 4 7-inch records, one each season, sent right to your doorstep. This means you get to add new music to your record collection while supporting local artists directly. Join the Unit E 7-inch record club today. Just go to unitedenver.org to sign up. That's UNITE Denver.org. Oh, and if you use the code CityCast at checkout, you get an additional record for free. Happy listening. This episode is brought to you by Denver Health. Not sure if you need urgent care or the emergency room? Denver Health has you covered. For non-life-threatening issues like cold symptoms, minor injuries, abdominal pain, and even stitches and x-rays, Denver Health's urgent care is your go-to choice. Just walk right in. No appointment is needed. With 4 convenient options, including adult care, pediatric care, virtual visits, and a downtown location at 16th and California, Denver Health makes it easy to get the care you need when you need it. But remember, if you're facing a serious life-threatening condition, head to the emergency room right away. Urgent care is for those unexpected issues that need quick attention but aren't emergencies. Plus, Denver Health accepts most insurance plans. Check out Denver Health's amazing 5-star reviews on Google. Patients love Denver Health Urgent Care. Learn more at denverhealth.org/urgent care. That's denverhealth.org/urgent care. It's something you mentioned a couple times here is like, will you post this for me? And I wonder, how do you see social media? What is the role of social media in this era of helping each other?
Social media I feel like it's a double-edged sword all the time, right? Like it amplifies voices, amplifies it's
how we find out about a lot of stuff.
Because like many of us, a lot of times we don't trust the news. We see, but then also, after George Floyd and people were posting the black square, then you saw that. So it's just like this, I want to help. I want to do something. I want to show that I am an ally. But then it's like, wait, this is just very surface level. What are you going to do behind, are you going to go and protest? Are you going to speak up about it truly with your family members? Are you going to actually listen to the community leaders that are doing the work and on the ground? Are you going to go help those orgs? And those are things I didn't see happen during that time, right? And I just saw people post and just to show that they were supportive of the Black community. But at the end of the day, you had to really be boots on the ground.
And
right?
maybe doing something that's uncomfortable for you, which is maybe facing those tough conversations with people that you will have, depending on who you are in the world, you have the safety to have that conversation that someone else can't have with that person. But I'm glad you brought up the black squares, because that's something I was thinking about a lot is the black squares, the safety pins. People were wearing safety pins a couple of years ago to show folks, I think, that were Muslim, they were safe. And this is reappeared again in the last week or so. I saw these blue bracelets to show you're an ally. And honestly, this is a lot of white folks, especially white women, turn to this show of allyship. Can you explain why that, why that doesn't work? What is your response to that? Because I think folks are kind of confused as to but I thought I was doing a good thing.
I think people are well-intentioned as always, right? But again, like I said, I don't know. This one's always a tough one because I have had these hard conversations with white women. Yeah. And I see that they want to help. And I first ask them, you have to confront your privilege. And that's the first thing. It's you have a privilege to wear this blue bracelet. Yeah. Many folks see this as well, how are you going to actually help me in this community? How are you going to... It's not only spending money or donating and things like that. I think that's all great. I never want to turn away actual financial help, but how are you going to support me when a situation in our community happens? Are you going to speak up? Are you going to call your elected officials? Are you going to show up to city council meetings? Are you going to show up to board meetings? How are you going to show up for me? And so when you confront that privilege, and sometimes, like you said, this hard conversation of I'm going to make you uncomfortable, but that's the only way you can grow into
change happens.
You grow into your place of I now know and understand this community. I'm willing to learn and listen. And that's what that black square, I understand what's trying to do, but it's are you really? You know what I mean? And I think for me, it's asking confronting your own privileges.
What are the conversations you're having behind closed doors? Because I think about the signs that folks put out in there, like all people are welcome in this house. And those are wonderful, I guess. But like I in particular, I think in my neighborhood, sometimes I see like migration is a human right. And like, yes, but my friends or my neighbors who immigrated here are not the ones with those signs, because a lot of times they're trying to not call attention to something that they feel has made them a target in the world. And so I think that's where the privilege part comes in, is like, cool. Do you know why you can put that sign out? Now, what do you do next? What do you do for your neighbors who have actually immigrated here? And do you find out like what they really need, which is not just going and knocking on a door and being like, hi, I'm here to help you, but like plugging into the organizations that already exist to use the energy that you clearly have to help other people, but plug it in like the right place. And also, I think realizing this isn't about you, right? It's not, I'm doing good. Look at me. I'm an ally. You know what I mean? Like,
and it's that white saviorism. You know what I mean? And I don't ever want to make anyone feel bad for wanting to help. But at the end of the day, there are real communities hurting. Real communities are scared right now.
And so how do we that don't have that fear because we're not being targeted, take that energy that we clearly have, like I do want to help, but like put it to functional use, right? Like actual use versus just waving a flag and saying, hey, but like, I want to help behind the scenes. I want to do the thing that will actually change something in my neighbor's life.
I think for me, we mentioned just finding those orgs. And what does engagement look like for your community? Have you been to these meetings? There's a great Southwest Denver Coalition. And they're an org that Cassandra Ornelas has been just an amazing community leader and advocate for everyone in this community, in the Westwood community, right? I've seen her just do so much when it comes down to vaccine and health drives, and now doing winter drives and things like that. Those are ways, just call. It's like, how can I help? Call those orgs. Like right now, I know so many folks right now are needing help with, holiday drives, down to like food. And that's how you can plug. And that's how you can plug. That's more impactful than just, I'm going to, donate, one thing. It's like, no, they actually might need help with volunteers. They might need help with like setting up for an event or things like that. I know those are small things, but that have made such big impacts for a community that I've seen, right? And those are ways that you can plug in, even down to like servicios, right? How can you help? Do you have a legal background? Or
Servicios de la Raza.
Yeah. So that's an amazing, obviously another org that is helping a lot of the Latinx community.
But it's just putting your skills, or even just like, I have a truck. Do you need somebody to move things for this event that you're doing? Or
they got housing. How do I help get them furniture, get it there for them? We're seeing a lot of that right now too. So a lot of folks that are needing support. Or is it job navigation? Do you have, people that are hiring? How can you help them with getting a new job, or even getting into that place of thinking about like, I have a friend that has a moving company. And he reached out when the newcomers came in and he's like, I need support. And how do I get around hiring folks, right, that need help right now? And there's a lot of legalities and things like that we're trying to still figure out, right? But, people want to help right now. And those are ways you can do it. And like I said, childcare, down to like, can you help at the school that has had an influx of newcomers? What can you do? Go ask what their needs are. If their needs are just, hey, support in the teacher's classroom, go help.
Or maybe you can do a drive for a specific classroom that needs supplies.
And sometimes they need even right down to like jackets, shoes, socks. And I'm seeing a lot of that right now. Just because obviously some folks came and weren't prepared for winter.
Sure.
And so, and obviously our in-house community, I think that's something we, all of us have always had in our mind of how we can continue to help. And I think I plugged in even like, obviously Mutual Aid Monday, and there's HAND and all these amazing groups that are doing really incredible work. But then I'm thinking even now too, as someone that's on the Planned Parenthood board, we are the state where it is still legal, but the states around us, we've already had that influx of people coming from all over states to get care. It's going to be more than ever now, where donations are going to help to get care for those people that need it now.
We're checking in with reproductive justice organizations that help folks who are coming from out of state.
Right.
Because there's organizations that you can donate to that are just helping someone get a plane ticket to get here.
Yep.
Or a car ride from the airport to get to the doctor.
And those are the small,
Totally.
abortion clinics or just like reproductive rights, right? Groups that are just doing the work. And then I was thinking about, I don't know if you heard of the Trans Union.
Yeah. It's the Transcontinental Pipeline.
Yeah. And they have had an influx right now.
I actually went to their website because I read an interview with the organizer that started it. And when you go to their website, this thing pops up immediately that's like, we know you need help. We've been overloaded. So what they do is they help families who are looking to basically resettle here in Colorado because they have a trans child or they're trans and they want to be in a safer place, but that costs money. And so if you want to help that organization, honestly, you can go to their website right now and donate. They have a space to volunteer. I would give them a little time because it sounds like they're just trying to organize how they can scale up. But that's the really cool part is not only is the need going through the roof, people are actually saying, I want it. Also help meet that
I think
need.
moving costs right now is starting at $4,500, right? It's like, that's a
Who
privilege.
has that?
Exactly. Like, and I think about that for abortion or people are like, why don't you move from that state? Like not everyone has that privilege to pick up and leave.
Right.
And we're seeing that through the climate crisis, right? We saw that through people going through that right now in Florida. Like everyone's like, just leave. It's like, you can't, I think the cost breakdown for just moving or getting in there, I mean, it costs $5,000, $6,000, especially with, airlines, jacking up the prices. So like, I just think for us as a state and a city that has always welcomed people, I think Demarites have always been those people. And I think that's what makes me work in community and continue to work in this community. And even at the level of where I am now in my position, it's like I have learned how to weave all the things that I've done in community, whether it's art, connecting people, small business, like how do we support small businesses? Like I feel like I'm at a level where I can do the work that I'm doing now on a more like level of like, I know this can happen for a community and I know we can build this community that we all envision. And also too, I always forget too, small businesses right now that are really speaking up. That really hasn't happened for, because, I remember with Base Coat.
Which was the nail salon, non-toxic nail salon you opened.
Right, I had. And anytime I open a business, as you know, I'm pretty outspoken about things. And I remember people like, you can keep politics out of, what does that have to do with nails? And I'm like, it has everything to do with nails, actually. Everything down to wages and how we treat our workers and
where these workers often come from, which you had direct experience with your mom
refugee
working in
and
this
immigrant
industry.
Women who are often more than times exploited and don't know the language. And so even small businesses now, support those that are speaking. I'm not saying don't support small business, but the ones that are willing to lose a customer, who are willing to stand up for their, for rights of people that are usually in their communities where their business is. And that's where the power of social media comes in. It could be a love-hate relationship, but you're seeing people being outspoken and those are aligned with your values, more people will support your business, even if you lose a few customers along the way. And I think that's so funny when people are like, you have to like kind of divide the two. And it's like, no, like I made this business or created this place that is safe and it should be safe for everyone online. It should be safe for anyone that walks in the door. And if you're not creating that space, then, you see the outcome of that, right? Yeah. Just because we've always been doing it that way.
Doesn't mean it's the right way.
It's not the right way, And if it's not working for people and it's not really working for the community you're in, then you have to think of other things. And it's okay to fail and it's okay to mess up. Those are human things. I mess up all the time and then I learn. That's the beauty of it. And then you navigate that world a little differently now.
Yeah. And I think it's really about, we've kind of been talking about this throughout, but just starting small. Like there are huge organizations that do amazing work. I mean, Planned Parenthood is a great example, but just honestly, I found some really interesting groups on Facebook that are like, even if it's just like the Southwest Neighborhood free Facebook where people put stuff up for free. I've also noticed people are putting up notes for like, I'm older and I can't get out to deal with my yard. Can anybody come and help me? Like there's really micro ways to get involved. And I also just want to say we're putting together a giant list right now that we'll post through our newsletter, Hey Denver, that gives folks some of these direct connects, because I think something that happens too sometimes, Tron, is you and I already know a lot of these groups
I
because it's
know.
just part of what we
Yeah.
do. But folks that are just tapping into this they don't know where to go, but they have the energy or they have the time or they have the expertise or they have the money and they want to help. And I think that's a really beautiful part. I guess just to finish up, what do you want folks to remember when they are in this moment? What is keeping you positive, or like, how are you thinking about the road ahead?
I think to keep people going and feeling like, I think we have each other. I think always at the end of the day, we have community, we have our friends and family. We have people who want to support and want to continue this work. I think the thing is that I forget too, we've all been here before. The first time this happened, I think everyone felt this need to be in action. But now this time I was just like, oh, we've been here before. I think by this time we have more people who are willing to support and have your back and create community that didn't really exist before, willing to have those conversations more and more now, to talk about these things are affecting our family members and friends and community members and each other. I think that what has kept me going, and reminding folks, like you said, we have to start small. Sometimes that's way to start building coalition and building this world that we want to live in. So.
Yeah. Well, Tron, thank you so much.
Yeah.
This was lovely.
Thank
It was so
you.
nice to talk to you.
It was nice to talk to you. This was so nice.
Oh, and we want to hear from you too. What are the organizations you think could use Denver's support right now? Or what are the online spaces that are giving you energy? Give us a call on the All Volunteering All the Time hotline at 720-500-5418 and leave us a voicemail or send us a text. You can also shoot us an email at denver@citycast.fm and let us know, what are the organizations in Denver you love right now? That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. If you enjoyed this show, why not take a minute to tell your neighbor about us? Rate the show wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe to our morning newsletter and learn more about us at denver.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. See ya! Leave us a message with your name and neighborhood and let us know who we should... Let me try that again.